Hello everyone, I'm Chef Almir Da Fonseca. I'm a chef instructor at the Culinary Institute of America at Greystone campus. And today I'm going to prepare for you a great recipe, one of the things that I love the most, which is crab cakes. And I'm going to serve with another thing that I absolutely love, which is truffles. In this case, I'm going to use truffle peelings. I'm going to create a great vinaigrette. It's a warm vinaigrette that have 3 steps on this composition. Of course, we're going to use Madeira. We're going to use sherry vinegar and chicken stock that we made over here in our teaching kitchens. And we're going to bind the whole vinaigrette with canola oil. So it's going to be a light in flavor, going to have a great mouthfeel. All the mise en place of this vinaigrette, which is a trilogy of the heart and soul of cookery, which is mer plat vegetables, which is onions, carrots, and celery, going to be allowing us to build a great foundation of flavors over there, okay? And we're gonna start with the vinaigrette because they're gonna take a little bit to do, and then I'm gonna bring you back into my cutting board and I'm gonna share with you the ingredients that we're using for our crab cake, okay? So I'm gonna start it out over here with a low to medium heat on my small sauté pan. And this won't be a conventional sauté technique, so I don't need to really heat it up in the pan and add my oil and on, because I started out from the background of the vinaigrette recipe. So I'm going to start with my Madeira, okay? And I'm going to allow the Madeira to come to a heat before I add my truffle peelings. I don't want to cook my truffle peelings too much because I don't want to lose all the really deep flavors that you find in truffles, the earthiness and the color. So I'm going to start it out with my Madeira by itself, and then I'm going to utilize a small bowl that's going to allow me to add all 3 reductions, all 3 parts of this composition, okay? So this is going to be a very simple one. So notice that my Madeira is coming to a heat over here. So basically what I'm trying to do, I'm going to cook a little bit until it burns the alcohol. So we're going to have the nice nectar of the wine that's going to intensify a little bit, but the alcohol itself is going to burn, okay? You notice that there is a little bit flaming happening over here, and that was the alcohol that was burning. And now I'm going to add my truffle peelings. So I'm going to allow this to reduce at least by half. So the truffle is going to break, going to leach into the Madeira, going to have some nice flavors over there, okay? So the following part of the composition I'm going to use sherry vinegar, okay? So I have a great quality sherry vinegar over here, and I'm going to utilize my mer plat vegetables, which is, in classic cuisine, would be 50% onions, 25% carrots, and 25% celery. So I have nice small dice over here, and that's what's going to go next. Keep in mind, when you're doing warm vinaigrettes, it's very important that you do not overheat your oil because the oil will separate. So we're just kind of going to add the hot oil to the reduction. The oil going to basically separate, won't emulsify completely. So we heat it up to a certain temperature, but then allow it to cool down just a little bit. So we're talking about just warm, 140 degrees to 150, I think is appropriate for this specific recipe, okay? There's one good thing about canola. Canola, I'm going to be able to have this truffle vinaigrette, and I'm going to be able to taste my Madeira, I'm going to be able to taste my sherry vinegar, I'm going to be able to taste my mer plat vegetables and my truffles, because the canola oil allows those flavors to come through without overpower the vinaigrette. So it's a great oil for this application. For this specific composition is a good oil, okay? So I have my reduction here. You notice they're reduced by 1/3, and I'm going to add to this bowl over here. And I'm going to allow it to cool down a little bit, and then I'm going to move on my next part of this composition. And once again, I'm going to do exactly what I did with my Madeira. I'm going to add my liquid first to bring my liquid to a heat, and then I'm going to add my mer plat vegetable. I don't want to cook the mer plat vegetable complete. I want to be nice and tender, so a bite size, and to leach some of the flavors. So I'm going to start it out with my vinegar over here. It's coming to heat nice. And now I'm going to use my merpla vegetables. I'm going to have some of my onions, some of my carrots, and some of my celery. And by the time that vinegar reduced by a third, all the merpla vegetables are going to be nice and gentle and tender to the bite, okay? So it's reducing nicely, have a great aroma. And the vegetables, you can notice that it's getting gently translucent, so it's just getting to the, what we call al dente, which is to the bite, to the texture, okay? Now I'm going to get this composition to add to my truffle and my Madeira, okay? I add over there, and then I'm going to go with a little bit chicken stock. This chicken stock over here is no more no less, basically is a rounding of a flavor. I'm not really trying to make, you know, really a huge appearance on the flavor profile of the vinaigrette. It's basically just to round up a little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing, just going to reduce this chicken stock just a little bit, and then I'm going to add to that. You notice that I will not operate with my canola oil until I feel that the temperature on this trio of reductions is appropriate, okay? So once that I add over here, I'm going to allow it to rest a little bit, and then I'm going to have this larger skillet, which is going to be the skillet that I'm going to utilize to brown up my crab cake. And then I'm going to move into my crab cake production, okay? We have canola oil making several appearances on this composition. We're going to have canola oil from the raw state to be added and emulsify our vinaigrette. I have canola oil on this beautiful fresh mayonnaise that we prepared earlier today, which is usually simply mustard, white peppercorn, and salt, and lemon juice, and a little bit of white vinegar, and have pasteurized egg yolks and canola oil. So I have a very nice and plain, so I won't change the flavor of my crab cakes at all. And then I'm going to use canola oil on a culinary purposes, in the sense of I'm going to bring that oil to heat, and I'm going to utilize that to cook my crab cake, to brown up and get my crab cake to a crispy texture, okay? So here's my first part of the vinaigrette. I'm going to allow to rest a little bit, and then I'm going to whisk in my canola oil. So while that is resting, I'm going to bring you back to my cutting board, and we're going to start out our composition of the crab cakes. I have a clean bowl over here. I have beautiful jumbo lump crab meat, outstanding. I'm going to utilize gloves over here just for sanitary purposes. And crab cakes is a very simple thing to do. You can add as many different flavors as you like. You can do traditional crab cakes, Maryland crab cakes. You can do Southwestern crab cakes. Utilize some chipotle aioli. Perhaps a chipotle aioli made from the canola oil mayonnaise would be outstanding. But here I'm going to do a different composition. I'm going to utilize something that I really think you'll love there. I have a roasted garlic. I have a whole clove of garlic over here that I gently tossed with canola oil and a little bit salt, and I roasted in the oven just until it's nice and soft. I'm going to squeeze this, and I'm going to smash this into a puree form, and I'm going to fold into my crab. So I'm going to add a nice little depth of flavor on that as well, okay? So I'm going to start with my crab in my bowl. I pick through my crab, make sure there's no shells over there, and as you notice, I drained a little bit of the liquid. So my crab cake won't be so wet. I won't break too much of this meat because I want a little bit texture on my mouth, okay? So there we go. That'll be good enough. So I'm going to utilize several things. I'm going to have some green onions over here, or scallions, all small diced. I'm going to have some red bell pepper over here, also small dice. The two herbs of choice are using Italian parsley or flat leaf parsley. Okay? And I'm using chives. Chives are great herbs. It has such a nice little onion. It is one of the onion family. It's part of the lily family and have a great flavor and great depth. They cook very well, eat raw very well. It's outstanding, okay? So right here, I'm going to squeeze my garlic puree. You notice that it's nice and soft, okay? Right here. I'm going to wipe my hands over here. And I'm going to just simply purify that with the side of my knife. Notice that because the garlic is nice and tender, it purifies very perfectly. So I have a nice garlic puree over here. They're going to add some great flavors, okay? Clean my board over here. My knife. Okay? I'm going to have a little bit of mustard. Mustard, I think, would add a nice round, would have a little bit acidic flavor over here, going to finish it off really good. So the mustard and the roasted garlic over here going to have a great, great flavor, okay? Going to mix it up this gently. Again, I'm trying not to macerate the crab meat too much. I want that to have just nice texture. I'm going to add my seasonings now. I'm going to utilize black pepper, kosher salt, and a touch of cayenne pepper. Again, I'm not looking for spice heat. I'm looking for just a gentle huskiness over here on my throat because the roasted garlic and the cayenne would make a really nice combination, okay? Just a touch of cayenne right there. And of course, black pepper and kosher salt. Okay, so now I have my crab cake pretty much ready to go. And it's ready for my mayonnaise. So my mayonnaise over here will be the binder. It's what's going to allow me to work with the crab cake and hold the crab cake together, okay? You notice that this mayonnaise is very stable. It's a beautiful color, nice little kind of, almost like a little lemon curd, a little lemon custard color. Going to be really, really beautiful, gentle flavoring, okay? Leave over here, and we're going to utilize. I don't know if you can see over here, but what I'm looking for texture and that the crab cake mixture is stable enough that I can just kind of form into a perfect little cake and then gently toss it on my panko bread, which is Japanese breadcrumbs, to allow a little bit of a crust, and then I'm going to pan fry it. And I think we accomplished that. And if it's a little bit too wet, you can always add a little bit panko to the mixture itself, and the bread will absorb some of that moisture. And that's no problem at all, okay? I think I am good over here. I'm going to take a little bit of a taste. I can tell it's good, very good, okay? So I'm going to allow this to rest it, and I'm going to move on my vinaigrette. There is several ways to do vinaigrette. Vinaigrette basically traditionally is 3 parts to 1, which is 1 part acid, 3 parts oil, and that's what we're going to accomplish over here. Over here, I'm making a towel well. You know, I couldn't get this motion. This is because, you know, when you're working by yourself in the kitchen, you don't have an assistant to hold the bowl for you. You can make this, and this would kind of pretty much kind of hold the bowl in place, okay? So we'll facilitate the process a little bit, okay? So drills of just gently your canola oil, and you go into your vinaigrette. Perfect. Little seasoning, little salt and pepper. And I have my vinaigrette in place. So I'm almost ready to cook. So now I'm going to bring this larger skillet, and I'm going to bring to heat. And I'm going to add canola oil, and I'm going to gently heat it up, this pan, and I'm going to get ready to pan fry. So basically what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to form my cake in the plastic. So allow me to do a nice and even job. Again, there is several ways to do crab cake. I tend to like crab cake that is really light and flaky, almost like a gentle, warm crab salad that is just being pan-seared. It makes for a nice composition, doesn't get too hard or too heavy, and you can definitely taste the crab. The flavor of the roasted garlic and the cayenne pepper is outstanding. It just kind of, crab is very versatile, and you just kind of stand just perfect amount of heat, and it's a good thing. Okay, so here, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to fold this up, and now I can take my gloves out, and I can just kind of form. And I can cut this over here. And just like when you form a little burger patties at home, so you know that it will be a perfect size, and that is what you do. Okay? So I have my crab cakes ready. So pan is ready to go. Canola oil. Another great thing in canola oil is stand more heat than most oils, and I can use canola oil for a deep fry technique. I can use canola oil to a shallow fry technique. I can use canola oil for a sauté technique. Will handle heat very, very well. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the heat up a little bit, just to instigate a little bit more color on my crab cake, okay? And I'm going to put just a touch more oil as well. This is perfect. So now I can take the plastic wrap out of my cake. You're going to notice that my cake is just gently placed. And my cutting board is clean, which is a great thing. So I can just kind of discard this. And again, keep in mind, this crab is previously cooked, okay? From fresh to cooked, and then they pick the crab meat out of the shell. So it's not that you need to cook this more, you just want to bring heat through it and make to a warm composition. Beautiful, beautiful. Crab cake is handling really good. Definitely going to enjoy this recipe. And again, not only utilizing the same oil in 3 parts of this composition, you're going to notice how versatile this oil is for the culinary application. It's definitely a chef-friendly. I have beautiful golden crab cakes. So I have my crab cake here, and it's ready to go. I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to have a clean towel over here, and I'm going to just drain a little bit the oil so the oil doesn't run in the plate, okay? It's one great thing that I tell my students all the time over here at the CIA is the fact that to go to a cooking school, you learn the art of becoming a business chef, to understand how the business work and profitability and cost control and all the costing factors to make a successful chef. And canola oil definitely allowed that. It's not only cost effective, but it's an oil that you can utilize on several recipes and will not change the flavors from one day to the next. There is several oils that from one day to the next, they turn bitter, they change the flavor composition of the dish, and canola, it doesn't doesn't do that. The other thing is, as I mentioned before, because it stands heat, you can do several culinary applications of that, and the canola oil would definitely work, okay? So right here, I have my beautiful truffle vinaigrette. First, I'm gonna use just the base flavor of the vinaigrette, almost like a little micro salad. Okay? And then I'm going to use the vinaigrette okay? I'm going to utilize the same components of the dish as a garniture. I'm going to have a little bit of a brunoise of red bell pepper on the dish for color. I'm going to have these beautiful chives over here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a micro herb salad. I'm going to use just simple herbs over here. I have a little bit of dill over here. I have a beautiful parsley. I have a little bit of cilantro. And I'm just going to pull the herb. I'm not chopping this or anything, but I'm just going to add just a finishing touch to this dish. Keep in mind, if you add to the plate, it must be dressed. This is going to be what we call a edible garniture. So make sure you dress, and I'm dressing with the same vinaigrette that I'm using. So I'm adding flavor, non-flavor, non-flavor, and I'm going to put a nice little herb salad on the top. And here we go. And I have our dish. Enjoy.